Intro. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on, guys? It's Bye Boosted.
Someone dropped Colin on his head yesterday.
Welcome back to Red, White, and Boosted. I'm Colin. That's Josh. And this is Corey, our fabricator extraordinaire. Corey, give the people a what's what.
Hi. We have a car.
You're such a hoe.
And stuff.
Okay. So we're back working on the El Camaro. And today is going to be the day that we spend some money. So, as you guys can imagine, the prices of steel with the pandemic has gone whoop up. So what we got right here is 40 feet of 3 by 5 inch rectangular tubing. It is a 3/16 wall. And we're going to be building a ladder frame system so we can weld the rear end of the Camaro into the El Camaro. So just to recap from the last episode, we're planning on building a A-frame type thing on both sides, little wings coming out through the floor back into here and tying in. But first, we're going to lower the car down and measure the wheelbase on both sides to 118 inches as we described in the last video. We've moved a lot of stuff around, so all those measurements and relativity is lost. So we're going to lower the car down right now, get it all kind of squared up, mark 118 so we know kind of where we need to build back to. And then from there, Corey's going to take over and show us kind of the geometry and getting the frame set up so that we can be successful.
We're gonna do the things.
Truck, yeah!
Yeah. Woo!
All right, let's go. What we got right here is when we first started taking all this apart, we actually marked the front of this piece of tape is where the original center line was, and it's kind of similar to where it is now. I think that we're probably a ½ inch or a quarter of an inch too far back from this line, but it's very close. At least a relative point for us to mark the rear. So mark it. Josh has a paint pen, and then we're going to shift the wheels. It looks like both sides need to come forward about. This side needs to come like 4 or 5 inches. That side's a couple inches. It's just, you know, skewed like that. Come forward a little, another quarter inch. A little more, right there. And you're still tilted back.
Oh, coming in from the side,
So that's how far off it is. So we're gonna have to move this whole thing forward pretty good amount.
so you need to pay attention.
Everything lined up and it's looking good. Now we're trying to decide where we want to cut our Camaro frame assembly versus El Camino. So I think we're going to bring our rec tube in and try to land it right in front of our original mounting points for the independent rear suspension on the El Camino. So if we bring that in here, that'll give us an option to chop somewhere in here to join them. And then similarly on the back, we'll probably cut it back here somewhere, have the frame removed in between, and then we'll re-support the bed in a couple of spots, and we'll end up welding this to the back end too. So now that we have a kind of decent idea of where everything's going, I'll pull the tape out, measure my lengths to go, you know, the full length up to the front of the frame, and then we'll just start piecing together, and I'll just mirror image everything we make. So let's get into some cutting, do some welding.
Hey, question, Corey. Can you cut it just laying on its belly?
So what's happening is the saw doesn't like to go through a flat plane easy.
Oh.
Gotta hit the
So-
corner and come in.
It's starting at the corner, right? So it's going at an angle, and that's why it cuts it so easily. Until it gets to the bottom, it's trying to cut across a flat plane. So if you just pull it out, upright that side, it'll just chop right straight down through that wall instead of trying to go through a bunch of flat. So that's what it's upset about.
All right, guys, so Corey just cut this frame that we're going to be using into the sections. Right now we have the leading edge right here going down the frame like this, and then these will tie into the existing X-frame. That way we can have something to butt up to for the rear subframe, and we can position it this way. The problem right now is that the original floor hangs down below the frame, kind of straddles the frame like this. And so our plan right now is to come in here with the plasma cutter and cut all this up as high as we can. The problem with the plasma cutter, of course, is the potential for fire, because the entire interior is still in this car. But we have new interior, so...
And I think we have a fire extinguisher.
We don't.
We got garden hose.
We have a garden hose.
Yeah.
We should get that ready, shouldn't we?
Sure.
You like to live dangerously, don't you?
Does this look dangerous?
I just wouldn't tell anybody until we needed it.
Heard that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's where we're at. We're gonna cut the floor out so we can tuck this new frame section up in it, and then we'll be good to go. Actually, this is it. This is the long one. It's 6 feet long. Then once we get it tucked up in there, we're gonna mark where we wanted to feather it in, make the cuts for that with either this or I don't know. We're gonna be making a miter cut with something. I just don't know what. Anyways, that's what's going on around here, fellers. Stay tuned. That's not even a seat bottom. What in the world? What is that? Oh, is this behind the seat?
Yeah.
Oh, grab that. It's like full of parts. I think I recall this. Nice.
Save one box.
Nebraska Motor Vehicle Certificate.
Yeah, fold it in half. Josh says you're good to go, buddy.
Fire marshal approved.
Superb.
Sale. Don't make me get the hose.
Hello.
What?
Get the hose.
You want me to spray it?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, man. Did I get it?
Yeah.
It's still smoking.
Yeah.
Come here. Oh, it's hot. It's still on fire?
Yeah.
What was it?
Shit in the back.
Not the seat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're good, Josh. You're making a rainstorm.
I know. I'm just making sure.
All right, Corey. Seems like you got a lot of work done.
Well, you know, barbecues.
That we did, yeah, that did happen.
I might have caught the car on fire first thing today, but you know, no big deal. You'll never know. They'll never know.
They're totally
Alright.
gonna know. They're never gonna know.
I'm never gonna know.
What I hear, Corey's trying to add to the flame job earlier.
Oh yeah, I was trying to do new flame paint job inside the car.
It's a whole motif.
Yeah, just
So-
keep him with the theme.
We've got the back floors cut out, and we have our path cut out. We're basically snugging in rectangular tube to give us some extra bracing for the back here.
So your plan right now is to take this one?
Yeah, we've got everything marked up. I had to remove a plate from here. So we're gonna start back here, get our 2 little kicker pieces out, and then we'll bring our long piece in, move to the front. So we'll get all that tacked in, and then we can start designing the rest of our framing down here. So once that's in, we'll do design, and then we'll start cutting and doing extra support structure to get that in there too. I'm also thinking that we're actually gonna have to go from side to side over the top here and connect our 2 new structures just to give it some extra support, because when we were test fitting the first couple pieces, I had a piece tacked up here, and as I was trying to break it loose, I could literally see the frame bending right here because she's a little old and beat. So we're gonna need all the strength we can get because this is gonna lay it down. Yeah.
Cool.
Ready? Break!
Okay, in addition to what you just saw fall out there, all of this was a rat city in that void. So I guess there's a firewall, rear firewall back here, and underneath the bed there's just nothing there. Oh my god, there's so much in there, bro. Josh, bring your flashlight.
Oh, that's under the bed?
Yeah.
There's just a cavern under there?
Yeah.
Crazy. How many dead animals you pull out of there yet?
Oh, that whole bucket.
Nice.
And there's like, all right, Corey. A lot of cutting going on around here. So let's figure this out. So you've got this main piece. You're gonna set that where you want it, and you're gonna draw the line on top.
Pretty much.
Take it over to your saw and miter it out.
I'm gonna have to hand cut this because it's not gonna do the full cut we want. But
Right.
should be good.
So right now, you're just kind of placing it underneath there, huh?
Yeah.
Going where no El Camino's gone before.
Yeah. Straight into the wall. First to Home Depot. Because we gotta load stuff in it. It's gotta be,
right.
you know, it's gotta work.
Right. Done.
Can we take a camping, Dad?
Seriously. All right. Okay, so Corey has marked out the angle cut, and it is too aggressive at an angle to do on this miter saw. So, with that in mind, he's gonna have to use the manual die grinder
Cut off it.
cutoff wheel. The spinning wheel, oh death. Do you like it when, remember back in like the 90s when people would put oh something? Miss that.
Bring it back, Colin.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
It'd be like house o vacuum and shit like that. It was like, do you work on vacuums or do vacuums live there?
House
Or
of color.
is it a house where the last name is vacuum?
Depends on how it's spelled, I guess.
I just don't know. Oh, it's such a cool fit, dude. It's pretty tight, bro. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Situation. Come walk over here.
Come walk over here. Come walk over here. Oh, okay. All right, so Corey got these boxed in, kind of just tacked in place to make sure where they're supposed to be. We lowered the car down, and Colin went ahead and marked rough estimate right here where we need to cut the end cap off so that we'll fit a sleeve into here. We'll spot weld the sleeve in, and then it should be able to weld straight to this plate, and then we'll be able to
also
this frame we don't need.
We also marked the back of the frame that we're going to be cutting out to where we don't know back there.
Still haven't figured that out.
Doesn't matter yet. Doesn't matter yet.
Just cut it out.
So we're gonna get this out of here. Let Corey work in here. He's gonna take off the bottom plate of this X-frame, which we are going to not need because we're gonna go on top of, on the back here, and join the two sides of our new frame, new exterior frame. This will still be here as structure, but it won't be the main twist point, because that's kind of the weak spot of these frames, is that you put a lot of power to it, it twists the front and twists the back separately, and all that the structure is to stop that from happening is just right here. So not the greatest. It was cheap and efficient and good for 200 horsepower, which is roughly what they would have come with new, but bad for anything over 400, 500 horsepower. So this exterior frame is going to give us a lot safer places to lift the car, and it's going to be much more structurally sound for putting power down. And we're able to take off this plate so we can get a drive shaft in there that will be much easier to access, and then it'll give us better positions to make mounts and things back here. Just safer, I feel like. So anything else?
Let's get to it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Welcome back to Red, White, and Boosted. On today's episode, we are working on the El Camaro. I'm Colin. That's Corey.
What's up?
And Josh is not with us today, but that's fine. He's working on his own little project today. Just to recap, everybody, we have a 2011 Camaro under everything of this 1960 El Camino that Vice Grip Garage found and drove 700 miles. On today's episode, we are going to be we've talked about like 4 or 5 different kind of plans, but the rough plan right now is to take the channels that we made in the last episode, slip them in here, weld them on the side, cut down the flat side, cap the end, roughly move this up, find out where it's going to sit against the rails that Corey made, and then once we figure that out, we're going to cut the X where it intersects the frame here, cut from there back to the end of wherever we determine here. We haven't figured that out yet. Probably going to try and go in front of this body mount, and then section that part onto this. Not sure all of that's going to get done in today's episode, but at least we're going to try and get this subframe in this car so we can bolt this rear end into this subframe. It's going to be a lot of work today, guys. Hang in there. All right, Corey, where we at, buddy?
Well, we've got our little sleeves worked into here, give us a little bit of extra support on our connection to the rest of our frame assembly. I'm gonna weld in on the sides on both pieces here. Then I've got some caps that we've cut out that are gonna go over the top of this. I'm gonna weld those caps to everything and just fill in the void between the two. We've left, you know, some little bit of stick out so we can have a nice gap to fill in, get a lot of structural back into the end of these. So that's where we're at. We're gonna keep on getting at it.
All right, Corey, so we're going to lift this guy up into there, get a test fit. We've already got it marked up where it should go. Got the rear end out of the way. Notice a little bit of drive shaft incursion that we're going to have to deal with a little later. But for now, we're going to test fit this, see where we need to cut the frame out, and go from there, yeah? Yes. Cool.
Alright, well, here's a real first look at it.
And it's not horrible, actually. All right, so Corey, we've got some marks here. We're going to be cutting up. So we got this mark right here. We're going to cut the tail into this. So that'll allow us to come in before this mount somewhere in here. What else we got? We got these marks from here to here. So we cut it like that. And that'll allow us to
graft it into our subframe so we can reuse. Instead of cutting everything out, we can try to use as much of the original frame as possible.
Make this part of the original frame.
Yeah, so hopefully we're only deleting like 1.5 feet of material.
We're going to cut out right here in front of the mount once we understand closer to where we need to. I'm going to cut through this mount right here because as you can see there's a lot of rust around it. So we don't want to disrupt any of that. When we get that, when we start cutting that, we're going to put a jack stand back here to support the rear bumper and hopefully keep the rusty body from splitting in half.
Yeah. Now we've had a couple of you guys commenting down in the thingamabobber below here, and I was talking to one feller. He's like, well, if the body's so bad that it can't come off the frame, why would you put it back on the road? And there are certain mounts that they need a lot of love and attention, and you know, you pull it all off at once, then you're stuck fixing everything until you can put it back on after the repairs. If we do this and we see that one of the mounts is bad, we don't know if we're going to cut it out and keep it, or you know what the deal might be with it beforehand. So once we get everything taken care of, we can go back through and be like, okay, this mount's pretty bad, let's go ahead and rebuild it underneath the car. There's some good and bads to that, but ultimately, you know, it's not going to hold us up just working on body stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the goal of this car is to have fun with it and not worry about the perfection side of it, obviously.
Yeah, and we're going to make it safe to go down the road, so I don't think that, you know, there's some stuff that looks cringy, and it is cringy, but we'll eventually get to it and take care of it.
This is like the ultimate patina car. I've had a lot of people ask me, are we going to paint it?
Absolutely
I don't think so.
We're not even going to fix all the rust that's on, you know, like if you really look at it, guys, like this right here, the quarters are not any longer connected to the wheel wells. And as we all know, that's a pretty structural part of quarter panel. Yeah, we're gonna let it ride. We're gonna let it ride until we blow it up or whatever. If we shred a tire into it, then, oops.
Might pop a tack in there, but that's like end of the day. We'll see. Anyways,
Jeez,
we're working on this today. And if you like it, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give us a thumbs down.
yeah, boo.
Either way, let us know, yes or no. I want to see 100% people giving up or down. Give me something. Oh, and tell us in the comments how wrong we are. I actually like that. Because a lot of you guys' comments end up becoming part of our plan.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't believe it.
We do enjoy all the hate because we know what we're doing isn't the right way. But that's really what the fun of all of this is just doing this as unconventionally as possible.
And there are some people, though, that leave us some comments and I'm like, hey, that's not the right way either, but I like that way more than my wrong way.
Yeah.
So anyways, fellas, I don't even want to start to tell you about this.
Yeah.
We'll save that for later.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. Wait,
Yeah.
What do you say?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so we've been talking a bunch on and off camera. We've got problems. Just what happens when you're working over this amount of distance in frame. It's not a problem. I'm gonna come up in here, fix some of our math, move this back this way, the whole frame section back this way, about a quarter to a half inch, somewhere in there. And then later this week, on a different episode, I'm gonna call it on this one, get this one out to you guys. I know you guys hate waiting in between videos. We hate it too. And then when we rejoin, we're going to cut this, cut that, put that in here in the right spatial dimension, cap the ends of those once we trim them back, put it up in here right before this, weld to this, plate or fix this roachedness of this body mount that really doesn't even exist anymore. And then what else?
That's pretty good.
Pretty much it. Oh,
Once we get done with that, then we're gonna get into tunnel issues.
so what we were talking about earlier that I said I wasn't gonna get into, but I'll tell you now, is the drive shaft in the Camaro is offset about 1.5 inches. The center of the drive shaft is 1.5 inches offset from the center of the chassis, and that's fine. They've accommodated for that in the Camaro engineering. With it being an independent rear, it doesn't actually move up and down. It doesn't even move. It just stays in the center. So this is going to be offset 1.5 inches in the body this way. This is the center line, which means that basically right here is the outside of the drive shaft. So we're going to come all the way out to here and split some of that channel in half, or at least cut off one wall of it, cut out this wall of this tunnel, and then essentially just stretch it out, make a tunnel larger and wider so that we can accommodate for the drive shaft, clear all this out, make room for it, and maybe even make this plate removable so it's easier to service the drive shaft. Not sure yet, but as the comments say, you got a lot of work ahead of you, but you're doing a good job.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so we have intentionally not filmed for the last 3 days, even though it makes for good YouTube drama. A couple of you out there, could be you, have told us that there's too much drama going on this channel and we're just BSing the BS, but really we're not. All right, so to recap what we didn't film, these bars right here, even though they looked like they were in there correctly, were a little bit crooked. So Corey built that jig, which is just flat stock, so that you can slide the two bars that are on the back here in and out but keep them on the same plane this way. Believe it or not, we have taken this, I haven't done anything, but Corey has taken down this frame and this frame 3 times. But now, we can say for sure, right, Corey? It's good to go. You're not even gonna think about touching it. You don't even want to think about touching it. Okay, don't get crazy. So, we do have this piece, and it's plated on both ends. We've got our marks up here where it should go. We're gonna leave this section of the frame right here in until here where it crosses with this bad boy. So you're gonna have double touching points with extra stability.
Yes.
And then we're gonna cut to this mark right here, which is in front of this body mount. We're gonna have to cut out this body mount, which is roach anyways. Yikes. And then cut it to here, and then somehow scab that in with this. We haven't gotten that far yet, but it can't be that hard.
Well, no, we have. We've planned for that already.
We planned. We planned for that too.
Well, if you'll notice, we've welded on caps at both ends of our subframe assembly here. And we also did some supportive measures and work up inside of the frame up there. So that's all good to go. But we've capped it back here also because basically wherever we pick up back here, that'll give us some really nice meat to weld back into. So that'll go back together real easily. It's just this stuff up here, because we're working with angles, there's still a nice lip for this pinch weld or seam weld, you know, on both sides. So I can't really see exactly where it needs to get cut. So I'm doing a little guesstimation. Probably have to cut it large and then trim it down exactly to where we want to go once we try to fit it up in there. So
whatever the case is, it seems as though we're gonna have this in.
yes.
So let's
Get into it. You could totally save this car if you had, I don't know, 30 grand to spend on the frame.
You can get a frame or something with $500 to add this section. All right, so what we got going on here today, right now, we got the frame up in here, and everything's looking pretty close. And what we decided to do is, because the differential sits on the cradle, it sits above the bottom. So the mount's right here, actually it's out here, and then the diff actually sits above it, up into this hole. It's of course offset like we discussed earlier, so we're gonna have to change that a little bit, but that's not a problem right now. What we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna lift this up and Corey's gonna tack it. I'm gonna lift that side, Corey's gonna tack it. And then we're gonna level the back, and then we're gonna tack it to the frame right here where it intersects. And then that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. It's been a long episode. We know it's been a lot of work, but well worth it.
Those are all my dance moves.
All right then.
Yeah. Oh, let's get into it.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Just want to get a little tap right there, just to get everything all fours in. Ugly for now. They can be fixed later.
Good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually.
And then we're gonna come here and drop, or make a
Yeah, I'll bring something off of here to
like a
meet down with that.
diagonal thing.
Probably.
All right, guys. So we're all messy. I'm messy. He's messier. This red, white boost. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah.
Well, we do have our subframe assembly in position, finally, after all of the cutting that we've done today. I mean, this has been like 7 hours of cutting. Just non-stop chop, chop.
Looks cool.
It's not perfect yet, but we'll get it there. It's gonna work, I'll tell you that much.
Pretty cool. Using the original frame.
Oh, as much as possible.
Well, it's been a long episode. Thank you guys for watching. We'll probably be on this later this week, doing more and tying this so that we can get the subframe in here and make this a roller, because we've got a couple other cars in the shop we want to get on here and finish up.
All right, well, now that I have this sub-assembly up in here, we've got to re-support the rear here. So, sorry for it being dark under here. I don't have great light, but you can see we're gonna have to connect down to this here. We've got two different pieces going on here. That's part of the body, this is part of the frame. So we're gonna go back to the frame. So I'm just gonna make some connections here with some square tube or rec tube I have. And we'll do the same over here. So we still have a piece of the frame left in here on both sides. I'm gonna hack that out, trim this out a little bit more, and find a landing zone, and we'll come in here a little bit with some more of our steel. So we'll figure that out, and once we get that done, I'm gonna go ahead and start burning a couple things in underneath here, because the next thing is cutting this tunnel out and bringing it that way a little bit. So not quite on it. So yeah, we're gonna get that taken care of and do a couple other things. So let's get into it. Hot in her. So take off all them clothes.
Can't hear me. Ew, that's disgusting. That's rat droppings?
What?
So that's rat droppings?
Nah, there's mud, there's pine straw, it definitely was a rat's nest, but old shells.
So how far do you need this come out to here? To there?
That's just kind of where I started. It's got to come further back over here, but I was dealing with where it's framed off now, so just cutting myself a relief cut.